Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode. We're working on Unit 6, Lessons 1 and 2. Our topic for the day is important places. Let's get started with our objectives. We're going to identify true or false statements about the natural world. We will read a magazine article about important places. We will carry out an internet search about the driest place in Egypt. We will use the present perfect with ever and never. We will ask and answer questions about experiences. Let's get started. Now, I want you to look at the 4 images we have in exercise 1, and I want you to match them with the words Antarctica, rainforest, tribe, and tourists. Now, let's look at the pictures together. A is done for us, that is Antarctica. And B is basically tourists looking at an ancient site. C is a tribe, which is a group of people that have certain customs and traditions in a certain place and they live together. And the last one is the rainforest. So D is the rainforest. Now, I want you to read the following statements and just make a quick guess of whether they are true or false. It is okay if your answer is not accurate. We will check our answers with the passage in the next slide. So let's read the questions and guess whether they are true or false, and then we'll check if we are right or wrong. Let's get going. Do you think these sentences are true or false? Number 1 is done for us. Let's read it together. People cannot live in the Atacama Desert. This is a false statement. People can live in the Atacama Desert. We will read about it in a couple of minutes. Exercise 2. Some of the tribes who live in the rainforest never leave it. Some of the tribes who live in the rainforest never leave it. And that is true. Some tribes live there forever until they die. Number 3, it never snows in Cairo. This is, of course, false. It snowed in 2013. And number 4, there's always ice in Antarctica. And it never melts. This is a true statement. Now, let's read the magazine article, Our Amazing World. What are some of the driest places in the world? The Atacama Desert in Chile is one of the driest places in the world. In some parts of the desert, it has never rained. Have people ever lived there? Yes, they have. More than 1 million people still live there. Many tourists also visit the town of San Pedro de Atacama. They say that they've never seen more stars in the sky in any other place on earth. Now, let's read about the Amazon rainforest. Do people live in the Amazon rainforest? Yes, they do. Some tribes live far from any city and have never left the rainforest. Some of these tribes have never met people from outside the forest. Has it ever snowed in Cairo? Yes, it has. In 2013, for the first time in many years, it snowed in Cairo. One 95-year-old man said, "I've never seen snow in my life before." Is there always ice in Antarctica? Yes, there is. In Antarctica, some of the ice has never melted. There is more than 4,500 meters of ice in some places. The bottom of this ice is more than 100,000 years old. Now, I would like you guys to get your mobile phones or your tabs or whatever form of technology you're using, and I want you to look up the driest place in Egypt. Now, we're going to be completing the sentences with ever or never. Number 1, in some parts of the desert, it has never rained. Number 2, have people ever or never lived there? And the answer is ever. Have people ever lived there? Number 3, some tribes have left the rainforest. Some tribes have never left the rainforest. Number 4, has it blank snowed in Cairo? Has it ever snowed in Cairo? Number 5, I've blank seen snow in my life. I've never seen snow in my life. Number 6, in Antarctica, some of the ice has never melted. Some of the ice has never melted. Now, I would like you to jump to the grammar box with me, this present perfect tense with ever and never. We can use the present perfect tense to talk about experiences before now. So, if I'm talking about an experience that happened before this moment, I can use the present perfect tense. I've eaten fish by the sea. I haven't been to Dubai. When we ask yes or no questions about experiences, we use ever. We give short answers. Have you ever been to the desert? Yes, I have, or no, I haven't. No, I have never been there. So when I have a yes or no question about an experience, we use the word ever and we give a short answer. I have never been there is a way to answer the question, have you ever been to the desert? I have never been there. Now we will use the third point. We usually use never in negative sentences about experiences. So if I'm going to say something negative, I can use never. He's never ridden a camel and he's never seen the sea. You can create your own examples for never in negative sentences. Now we will move on to exercise 2. Make sentences with ever or never. Number 1 is done for us. Let's check it together. Hamdi never traveled by plane before. So we will say Hamdi has never traveled by plane before. Number 2, this is a question being asked. So I want you to pay attention to how you will say it or write it. You play squash. So we can say, have you ever played squash? Number 3, your parents live in another country. We're still asking a question. So we can say, have your parents ever lived in another country? Number 4, your school closed because of bad weather, and it's a question, so you will say, has your school ever closed because of bad weather? And last but not least, number 5, it never snowed in my village. We will say, it has never snowed in my village. Now we will ask and answer questions using ever or never and the past participle of these verbs. Let's look at the speech bubbles to learn more about how to use them. Have you ever met a famous person? I've never met a famous person. Yes, I've met a football player once. So now I want you to ask and answer using ever or never. So we can say, have you ever bought a PlayStation before? No, I've never bought a PlayStation before. Or you can say, have you ever studied under a candlelight? You can say, yes, I have studied, or no, I haven't studied, or I have never studied under a candlelight. So try to play around with those words and ask and answer each other and get to know how to use the past participle of those verbs. Now, these are suggested answers. You can read them and you can create your own. Okay, now that's a wrap, guys. We're going to just wrap up what we have done today. We have identified true or false statements about the natural world. We read a magazine article about important places. We carried out an internet search about the driest place in Egypt. We used the present perfect with ever and never. We asked and answered questions about experiences. Thank you, guys. That was Sara Bassiouni with you today. You did a wonderful job. Have a wonderful day ahead. Goodbye.